Finally, one of the alien commanders signaled a temporary retreat. They are unlike anything we have faced, the alien said, voice heavy with disbelief. We cannot simply destroy them, observe, study, understand, or we risk being undone by them. Elena exhaled, her shoulders sagging slightly with exhaustion, but her eyes still burned with fire. We survived, she said softly. Not because we are strong, not because we are fast, but because we are human, clever, brave, and unyielding. The Pioneer floated among the swirling colors of the nebula, battered but intact. The crew looked around at one another, silent for a moment, then slowly small smiles appeared. They had survived the first major clash against a civilization far larger, far stronger, and far older than themselves. In the void of space, amid alien fire and impossible odds, humanity had proven something extraordinary. Even when the universe seems to weigh against them, humans endure. Humans adapt. Humans survive. And one day the Empire would remember this day, the day when tiny humans defied impossible power and remained unshaken. The Pioneer sailed onward, battered but undefeated, carrying not just a crew, but the unbreakable spirit of Earth itself. The Pioneer floated silently in the glowing haze of the nebula, its hull scratched and battered, but its systems still humming. The crew moved with quiet purpose, tending to damage, checking shields, and monitoring energy levels. For a moment, the adrenaline faded, leaving behind exhaustion but also a deep, unshakable pride. They had survived the Empire's first major attack. Far above, the alien warship pulsed like a dark heart. The Empire's commanders watched the humans on their screens, their eyes, black, unblinking, and ancient, narrowed in confusion. How can such insignificant creatures endure this long? One hissed. They should have been destroyed in the first strike. Yet they remain. Unbroken, another alien muttered, more thoughtful than before. They do not fight like other species. They do not rely on sheer power or numbers. They think. They adapt. They endure. Back on the Pioneer, Elena gathered her crew in the small conference room. The faces around her were tired, some smudged with grime, some streaked with sweat. Yet in every eye shone determination, courage, and hope. We've made them notice us, Elena said softly, and that is dangerous. But notice is also opportunity. They see that we are different, that we are not like the others, that humans are not weak, and that means we have power in ways they cannot understand. Lieutenant Harris leaned back in his chair, exhaustion visible in his posture. Captain, they're huge. Their ships could crush us 10 times over.
How can we keep going?
Elena smiled faintly. Because humans survive, not by being the biggest, not by being the strongest, but by being clever, by staying together, by never giving up. That is our strength. Meanwhile, the Empire's observers made their decision. A ceasefire was declared, though only temporarily. The humans were still trespassers, still under scrutiny, but curiosity replaced pure hostility. The Empire had never seen a species so fragile yet so unyielding. One of the alien commanders, tall, scarred, and ancient, addressed the others. They are remarkable, the alien said. We may not understand them, but they survive where others fall. Observe them closely. Perhaps there is value in learning from them. Or perhaps we have underestimated a threat. The humans did not yet know they were being studied so intently, but for the first time, they felt a subtle shift in the galaxy around them. The Empire's ships no longer pursued immediately. They watched. They waited. And in that watching, the humans' ingenuity and courage became a silent, invisible weapon. Elena walked among her crew, placing a hand on the shoulder of each officer. We are small, she said, her voice low but strong. But that is not weakness. We are humans. We survive, we endure, and today we have proven it to ourselves, and to them. The crew nodded, silent but empowered. Fear was still there, a shadow in the corners of their minds, but it no longer held sway. They had faced impossible odds, alien technology, and immense power, and they had survived with skill, courage, and heart. Above them, the Empire began to whisper among its fleets. These humans, they are not like the others. We must reconsider our assumptions. They are unpredictable, dangerous in ways we cannot yet measure. Elena returned to the bridge, looking out at the endless stars. We've survived the first wave, she murmured, and they are beginning to respect or fear us. That is the first step. Tomorrow the galaxy may try again, but we will be ready. We always are. We are human, and humans do not break. The Pioneer sailed on through the nebula, battered but undefeated, carrying not just its crew, but the essence of humanity. Clever, brave, and unshakable. In the vast, dark galaxy, a small ship had made a mark, and the Empire, vast and mighty, had learned something extraordinary. Humans were unlike anything it had ever known. The Pioneer sailed through the vast expanse of space, its hull scarred from the recent battle, its engines humming steadily. The crew moved quietly, exhausted but resolute. They had faced the unimaginable, the might of a galactic empire, the fear of annihilation, and the weight of countless worlds judging them as weak. Yet they had survived, and in surviving, they had made a statement that no one could ignore. Captain Elena Moore stood at the bridge, gazing at the endless stars. Each one was a reminder of the vastness around them, of how small they were, and yet of how enormous their courage had become. "We came here by accident," she murmured, voice soft but strong. "But we are leaving a mark, not just on the Empire, but on ourselves. We have proven that humanity does not break." The crew gathered around her, faces tired, eyes shining with pride. Lieutenant Harris spoke first. "Captain, they're not attacking us now. They're watching, studying us, trying to understand how we survived." Elena nodded. "And they will. And one day the galaxy will remember that even the smallest species, the most fragile, can endure when others would fall. That even when the universe seems against us, humans stand tall." Far above, the Empire's command ships pulsed with light. Their commanders whispered among themselves, voices heavy with curiosity, disbelief, and perhaps the faintest trace of respect. "These humans, they are unlike anything we have encountered," one said. "We cannot underestimate them. They endure. They adapt. They survive." The humans did not know the full extent of the Empire's realization, but they felt it in small ways. Patrols hesitated, aggressive maneuvers slowed, and the once imposing fleets now seemed uncertain. Fear had been replaced by a strange admiration, tinged with wariness. Elena looked at her crew. "We are small, yes, but our spirit is unmeasurable. Our courage is unbreakable. And that is something no fleet, no empire, no force can take away from us." The crew smiled, a mixture of relief, pride, and hope. Engineers returned to work, patching hulls and recalibrating shields. Pilots ran simulations, preparing for future encounters. And through it all, one truth remained clear. Humans were unstoppable not because of technology, but because of heart, mind, and unity. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, a silent audience to the story of survival. The nebula glowed softly around the Pioneer, casting light over the crew as if the universe itself acknowledged their courage. They were tiny, almost insignificant in size, yet their spirit burned brighter than any star. Nova, the ship's AI, spoke in its calm, measured voice. "Captain, sensors indicate the Empire is ceasing offensive operations for now. Observation continues. Probability of further engagement is high, but humans remain unscathed." Elena exhaled slowly, a mixture of relief and determination in her eyes. "They've learned something important," she said quietly. "Humans are not predictable. Humans are not weak. Humans endure, and they will remember that." The crew gathered on the observation deck, watching the swirling colors of the nebula and the distant Empire ships fading into the dark void. Children of Earth, explorers of the stars, survivors against impossible odds, they were proof of what humanity could do. Elena's voice echoed softly, almost to herself. "We didn't come to this galaxy to conquer. We came to explore, but we've shown them something they will never forget. Humans are clever, brave, and unshakable. Humanity has arrived, and we will not bow." The Pioneer sailed onward, carrying 30 souls, countless dreams, and the heart of a species that refused to surrender. Every light on the bridge, every pulse of the engines, every determined glance reflected one truth. The galaxy may be vast, powerful, and merciless, but humans, even in the smallest of ships, had an indomitable will. And somewhere far across the Empire, beings that had never known such defiance whispered to each other, learning the same lesson humanity had always known. Underestimating humans was the gravest mistake a civilization could ever make. The stars stretched endlessly, the void silent but alive. And in that silence, one truth shone brighter than any nebula or sun. Humanity was unshaken. Humanity endured. Humanity would never be defeated. The Pioneer sailed on, a small ship with a big heart, carrying humanity into the unknown. Undaunted, unbroken, unstoppable. "Fences," a junior officer whispered. "They'll find us weak. They'll destroy us." Elena shook her head. "They will see our courage first." She looked at her crew. "Stand tall. Answer honestly. Show them who we are." Hours passed. The inspectors moved from room to room, testing everything, leaving nothing unchecked. They were ruthless, unyielding, and mechanical. The crew's nerves frayed, but their resolve held. No one faltered, no one cowered. Every human answered with calm honesty, showing their intelligence, their adaptability, and their humanity. Finally, one inspector lingered near the communications console. It was silent, almost thoughtful. "Curious," it said in its cold metallic tone. "You are insignificant, weak, yet you do not break. You do not fear enough to submit." Elena's eyes met the aliens. "We are human," she said simply. "We are small, yes. Fragile, perhaps. But we endure. We adapt, we survive. And we never surrender." For a moment, the inspector seemed to consider her words. The other aliens moved on, scanning the ship, but this one lingered. It had never seen a species that resisted fear with courage, weakness with ingenuity, and uncertainty with determination. The tension on the bridge was immense. Every creak of the hull, every beep of a console, every flicker of light seemed louder than usual. And yet the humans stood unshaken. Their fear was real, but it did not control them. Their courage, small but bright, shone like a flame in the darkness. Finally, the inspection ended. The aliens withdrew to their ship, their black eyes still watching, still curious. "They are different," one of them muttered. "Perhaps there is something unusual in them. Something unexpected." Elena exhaled, her body shaking slightly from the tension. Her crew sighed, relief washing over them, but the moment was not celebration. It was realization. They had survived the Empire's scrutiny. They had faced beings far stronger and older than humans, and yet they had not broken. Lieutenant Harris broke the silence. "Captain, we survived. Against them. How?" Elena smiled faintly, though exhaustion weighed on her. "Because we are human. And humans survive even when the odds are impossible. We endure, we adapt, we do not give up." The Pioneer floated silently in the void, carrying not just 30 souls but the heart of an entire species, small, fragile, yet unshakable. Humanity had faced its first true test in the heart of a galactic empire, and had survived. In the endless dark of space, a seed of respect had been planted. And one day, that seed would grow. The humans thought the inspection had ended, that they could breathe a little easier. But far beyond the Pioneer, the Empire's command ship glowed like a dark sun, pulsing with cold authority. In the Grand Council chamber, enormous beings with scales, metallic skin, and eyes that seemed to hold the galaxy itself debated the humans' fate. "They are insignificant," one elder hissed, its voice echoing through the chamber. "But they are audacious. They resist. They survive where no other species would, that is disturbing." Another elder slammed a clawed hand against the table. "We must crush them. They are nothing, and yet they refuse to bow. Allowing them to continue is dangerous. They may inspire others, and the Empire cannot tolerate defiance." A third, quieter voice spoke, thoughtful and cold. "Perhaps they are more than they appear. Their defiance is unusual. Observe them. Study them. Do not underestimate them." Orders were sent. The humans were to be subdued, controlled, or destroyed. Every fleet within 100 light-years was notified. Every sensor scanned for the Pioneer's movements. Yet the humans remained unaware of the full scale of the threat looming above them. On the Pioneer, Elena paced the bridge, her brow furrowed, her heart heavy. "We've made them notice us," she said softly to Nova, "and that makes us a target. But we have survived so far. We can survive more." The crew worked tirelessly, scanning, mapping, calculating. Every human aboard contributed, engineers, navigators, scientists, turning fear into strategy, danger into ingenuity. They reinforced shields, improvised new evasive maneuvers, and mapped the Empire's patrol routes. Lieutenant Harris leaned over a console, voice tight with determination. "Captain, there's no way we can outrun all their fleets. They have numbers, power, weapons we can't even imagine." Elena turned to him, eyes blazing. "Then we don't outrun them. We outthink them. Humans have survived far worse than armies. Earth has survived ice ages, plagues, wars. We adapt, we improvise, we endure. And in the stars we will do the same. Her words strengthened the crew. Fear was still there, gnawing quietly, but it no longer controlled them. They felt the spark of humanity, a stubborn flame that refused to be extinguished no matter how dark the void. Days passed. The Empire's fleets moved closer, probing the humans' defenses, testing their courage. The humans responded with unexpected skill, turning their small ship into a maze of unpredictability. They used nebulae as cover, asteroid fields as shields, and even the gravitational pull of distant planets to outmaneuver patrol ships. The alien inspectors observed silently from afar. One muttered to another, their voices low and uncomprehending. How do such weak beings endure so fully? How do they resist fear, danger, and certain defeat? Elena gathered her crew one night in the small, dimly lit conference room. "We are alone out here," she said softly, "facing a civilization that could destroy us with a thought. But alone does not mean powerless. We are humans. We have faced the impossible before and we have survived. We will continue to survive. We will continue to endure." The crew nodded, silently absorbing her words. Each person felt the weight of history, the smallness of their ship, yet also the enormous strength that came from unity, courage, and belief. They were more than numbers. They were humans, and humans never surrendered. Far above them, the Empire plotted. But on the Pioneer, determination grew. The humans knew the odds were against them, yet they remained unshaken. The threat was real, vast, and overwhelming, but so was their spirit. And in the endless darkness of the galaxy, a small ship carried not just its crew, but the heart of humanity itself, clever, brave, and utterly unbroken. The Empire would learn, one way or another, that underestimating humans was a mistake they would not forget. The Pioneer drifted closer to a massive nebula, its clouds of glowing gas twisting like living fire. Sensors beeped urgently. Empire fleets were converging from every direction. Elena's hands moved swiftly over the controls. "They've found us," she said quietly, her voice calm but tense. "Prepare for engagement. We don't run. We survive." The crew snapped into action, each person moving with precision and purpose. Shields were reinforced, weapons readied, thrusters primed. For all their fear, they were united, every heartbeat echoing the same truth. Humans do not surrender. The first wave of Imperial ships appeared like predators in the dark. Their weapons fired beams of searing light, slicing through space. The Pioneer dodged, rolled, and weaved through the nebula, narrowly avoiding blasts that could have torn the ship apart. Lieutenant Harris shouted over the alarms. "We can't outgun them." "They're too many, too powerful." Elena's eyes never left the displays. "Then we don't outgun them. We outthink them. Humans survive with brains, not just brawn. Use the nebula's storms. Use the fields. Confuse them. Outsmart them." The crew worked like one living organism, responding to every new threat with ingenuity. They directed energy blasts to ricochet off asteroids, used the nebula's electric storms to scramble enemy targeting systems, and manipulated gravitational anomalies to spin enemy ships into temporary confusion. Despite the chaos, the aliens could not ignore the humans' effectiveness. One of the Empire's commanders muttered in disbelief, "They are weak, yet they fight as if they are stronger than the stars themselves. How is this possible?" The humans, small and fragile compared to the Empire's massive vessels, turned their apparent weakness into an advantage. They moved unpredictably, never in straight lines, using every element of space as a weapon. For every strike the Empire launched, the Pioneer responded with clever maneuvers, a daring escape, or a sudden counterattack. Amid the battle, Elena addressed her crew, her voice calm but resolute. "Fear is natural. Courage is choice. We choose to fight. We choose to survive. That is what it means to be human." The crew's determination blazed brighter than any laser. Every pilot, engineer, and officer felt it, a unity that no empire could break. The humans were not just fighting for their lives. They were fighting for the truth of who they were. Hours passed in a blur of light and sound, nebula clouds glowing with the trails of energy blasts. The Empire's fleet, though far larger, was slowly being tested, their assumptions challenged. They had never faced a species that could survive so long against impossible odds, a species that would not bend, break, or surrender. The starship Pioneer drifted quietly through the cold darkness of space. Captain Elena Moore stood at the bridge, her hands resting lightly on the console, staring at the holographic star map. Every light, every line, every glowing path of the stars told a story, but none of the stars on her display made sense. They were unfamiliar, uncharted, and far beyond any human exploration. "Captain, these readings are unusual." Nova, the ship's AI, spoke in its calm, neutral tone. "Sensors indicate unknown star systems with signs of advanced civilizations. We are off course." Elena's brow furrowed. "Off course?" she repeated. She had always trusted navigation, charts, and calculations. Yet here they were, lost almost by accident in a part of the galaxy no human had ever reached. Her crew, 30 souls brave enough to explore the unknown, watched her silently, tension rising like the swell of a storm. "Maybe this is a mistake," muttered Lieutenant Harris, leaning against the console. His voice was low, but the uncertainty was clear. "A huge mistake. We don't even know what's out there." Elena turned to face him, her eyes steady and fierce. "Mistake or not, we are here now. We can't change that. And whatever is out there, we face it together. Humanity doesn't run. Humanity doesn't give up." Her words carried weight. They reminded the crew of who they were. Explorers, dreamers, humans. Fragile, yes, but resilient, bold, unbroken. Even in the quiet fear that had settled in the bridge, hope began to flicker. Suddenly, the ship's sensors blared. A massive shape appeared in the distance, a warship unlike any human design. It was enormous, with jagged metallic edges and glowing symbols that seemed to float in the void. Elena's heart skipped a beat. It's massive," whispered Ensign Patel. "What is that?" Nova responded calmly. "Unknown vessel detected. Analysis suggests extremely advanced technology. Likely hostile." The crew exchanged worried glances. Hostile or not, the sheer scale of the ship was terrifying. Elena felt a cold fear in her chest, but she pushed it down. She had a duty, not just to her crew, but to all of humanity. The ship's communications crackled, and then a deep, echoing voice filled the bridge. It was strange, harsh, mechanical, yet unmistakably commanding. "Primitive beings, identify yourselves. You trespass in the territory of the Galactic Empire." Elena's hands clenched the console, but her voice was calm. "We are explorers from Earth. We did not intend to trespass. We come in peace." A pause, then laughter. A deep, cruel laugh that made the air almost feel heavy. "Peace? You dare speak of peace while in the heart of the Empire? You are nothing. Insects. Fleas on the skin of the galaxy. Prepare to be examined." A wave of tension rolled through the bridge. The crew's faces went pale. The Empire, the one they had only heard of in legends, was real. And they were now directly under its gaze. But Elena stood firm. Fear was there, yes, sharp and biting, but it did not control her. "We may be small, but we are human. We do not surrender, not now, not ever." Lieutenant Harris gave a small nod. Other crew members straightened. For a brief moment, amid the fear and uncertainty, a strange energy filled the bridge. Courage. Humanity's courage. The courage that had survived centuries of danger on Earth, that had crossed oceans and skies, that now reached into the stars. Nova's calm voice cut through the silence. "Captain, the Empire may attempt to board or attack. Immediate tactical decisions required." Elena's eyes scanned the glowing stars ahead. Her mind raced with calculations, strategies, and possibilities. But one truth stood above all. They would not be broken. Whatever came, humanity had arrived, and humanity would endure. She took a deep breath and looked at her crew. "Prepare for contact," she said. "This is only the beginning. Stay strong, stay human, and no matter what happens, we survive." The Pioneer moved forward, silent yet determined, into the unknown galaxy, carrying not just a crew, but the spirit of all humanity, undaunted, unshaken, and ready to face a civilization far older, larger, and more powerful than themselves. The massive warship loomed closer, its jagged metallic hull glowing with alien symbols that pulsed like living energy. The hum of its engines made the Pioneer's hull vibrate slightly, a reminder of how small and fragile the human ship truly was. Yet on the bridge, fear mingled with determination. Elena's crew knew that hesitation could be deadly. "Shields at full power," Elena ordered. Her voice was calm, steady, commanding. Every word carried the weight of responsibility. "Weapons on standby. We do not provoke, but we defend." Nova, the ship's AI, flickered on the holographic displays. "Captain, sensors indicate multiple boarding ships are launching. Probability of survival without evasive maneuvers. Low. Elena's lips pressed together. She glanced at her crew. 30 humans standing shoulder to shoulder in the cramped bridge. Each face reflected the same mixture of fear and courage. Then we do what humans always do, she said softly. We fight with what we have. And we fight smart. The communication system crackled to life again. The booming alien voice filled the bridge, sharper this time, like metal grinding against metal. You are insignificant, it declared. Yet your presence here is a bold and foolish act. Surrender now or you will be destroyed. Elena straightened. We do not surrender. We come in peace. We do not wish to fight. Her hands hovered over the controls, ready, calm, and unwavering. We are humans. You will see that we can survive even against impossible odds. The alien paused. The sound of its laughter, or what humans would call laughter, was cold, harsh like a storm in the void. Peace? It repeated, echoing through the ship. Fools. Your kind does not understand the concept of power. You are beneath notice, yet you resist. Interesting. The first boarding ships approached, sleek and deadly, tiny compared to the Empire's main vessel, but armed with devastating technology. The Pioneer's crew braced themselves, hearts pounding, fingers steady on controls. Lieutenant Harris spoke quietly, almost to himself. We can't outrun them. We can't outgun them. What do? Elena's gaze hardened. We do what humans do best. We survive, we adapt, we outthink them. With a subtle flick of her hand, she engaged the ship's evasive thrusters. The Pioneer darted through space with surprising agility, weaving around asteroids and energy fields the Empire had not anticipated. For every boarding craft that tried to latch onto them, the humans found a way to shake it off. The alien voice returned, tinged with curiosity. Primitive beings, your actions defy logic. How do you resist? How do you evade? Elena's fingers flew across the console, adjusting shields, redirecting energy, calculating trajectories faster than any AI could predict. We are humans, she said simply. Small, yes. Fragile, yes. But clever. We never give up. We never stop trying. We never surrender. Around her, the crew began to believe it too. Each maneuver, each clever evasion, each daring decision strengthened their courage. Fear was still there, gnawing at their hearts, but it was tempered by an unshakable determination. They were human, and humans survived. The first wave of boarding ships faltered, unable to anticipate the Pioneer's unpredictability. The alien warship pulsed with light, scanning, analyzing, and reassessing its tiny opponents. For the first time, the humans realized something extraordinary. The Empire, despite its size and power, was studying them, trying to understand how such small beings could resist, adapt, and endure. Elena exhaled slowly. We've made them notice us, she said quietly. And that is the first step to surviving. The crew nodded, silent but resolute. Out in the vast, dark galaxy, humanity had taken its first stand. They were small, fragile, and utterly alone but unshaken. And that, Elena knew, was enough. The Pioneer sailed forward, weaving through the unknown, carrying not just people, but the spirit of Earth itself. A spirit that refused to bow, refused to break, and refused to die. The Pioneer had barely escaped the first wave of the Empire's boarding ships when a new signal came through. A direct order from the alien warship. It was unmistakable, filled with authority and menace. You will submit to inspection. Resistance is unacceptable. Elena's hands tightened on the console. They want to board us, she said quietly. There's no running now. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Fear was heavy, thick, almost suffocating. Yet beneath it, a strange spark glimmered. Defiance, courage, and determination. Humans had survived countless dangers on their own planet. They had crossed oceans, built cities, faced disasters, and endured wars. And now, in the vastness of space, they would face a power unlike anything before, but they would not break. As the boarding clamps latched onto the hull, the alien inspectors stepped aboard. Their forms were towering, with black, unblinking eyes that seemed to pierce straight into a person's soul. Their limbs moved with mechanical precision, their skin gleaming like dark metal. The first inspector approached Elena. Its voice, low and resonant, filled the bridge. Primitive beings, show yourselves. Elena stepped forward, her back straight, shoulders squared. I am Captain Elena Moore of the Starship Pioneer. We are humans. We did not mean to enter your territory, but we come in peace. The alien paused, scanning her with its strange, cold eyes. Then it moved through the bridge, inspecting every console, every weapon, every crew member. It poked and prodded, tested the strength of the hull, examined the ship's